Welcome to Friday Fuel for April 26, 2024, the last Friday Fuel of the year. Join us for our finals week study breaks this coming week as we celebrate our graduates on Sunday at 5:30. Monday from 2 to 4 we'll have snacks and crafts at the Wesley Foundation. Tuesday night is pancake night, pancakes and bacon and other fun stuff from 6 to 8 p.m. And Wednesday, we'll close out the semester with our closing worship and our year in review slideshow at 8:30. And now, here's some fuel for your Friday. Well, it's our last Friday fuel of the semester. I know sometimes semesters don't end exactly as we wanted to. And I'm thinking about the end of the Gospel of Mark, which is unlike Luke and John and even Matthew. There's not really much other than the resurrection happens in the Gospel of Mark, unless you read the endings added later. But the original ending of that Gospel is the women going to the tomb, and they see a young man in a white robe seated on the right side of the stone that's been rolled away. And he tells them that Jesus has been raised. He isn't here. Look, here's the place where they laid him. Go tell his disciples, especially Peter, that he is going ahead of you into Galilee. You will see him there just as he told you. And then the last verse is, overcome with terror and dread, they fled from the tomb. They said nothing to anyone because they were afraid. And that is how the Gospel of Mark originally ended, scholars believe. And I've been thinking about how endings are just not always exactly the way we want them to be. Not always exciting, not always great. Things don't always end on a high note. And yet, even in that story, though the women were terrified and didn't tell anyone, Mark says, we know that that doesn't change the fact that Jesus had risen from the dead. And so even when the ending doesn't go quite as well as we would like, that doesn't mean that God isn't busy doing something or hasn't already done something. I think there are plenty of stories in Scripture that give us that lesson. I think of back in the Old Testament when Naaman, who was one of the military leaders of Israel, is suffering from a skin disease, and I believe it's Elijah tells him to go and bathe in one of the rivers. And Naaman's like, that's it? He's not even gonna come and talk to me and put his hands on me? Like, really? And he's all upset that he doesn't feel like it was a fancy enough thing to heal him. He doesn't feel like the prophet actually treated him in accordance with what his status was. But when he went and washed, he was healed. So he did the thing that he thought wasn't good enough, and it worked. And so sometimes stories are a bit anticlimactic, endings happen, and we're like, well, that happened. So if your semester is ending that way, keep in mind that just because the story doesn't end the way you wanted it to, doesn't mean that God hasn't worked, that nothing has happened, that it's really all bad. If your semester is ending well, then you could celebrate that, and that's really great. If you are someone watching this who is not actually in school anymore, then also remember, sometimes things don't end the way we want, but that doesn't mean that God isn't in the business of doing something, and that God isn't working, and that God isn't listening or paying attention to us. It just means that things don't always go in exciting ways like we want them to. And sometimes we don't understand as well, just like the women. Why were the women terrified? We're not terrified at Easter, but they had reason to be terrified, and so they were. But that doesn't mean that the resurrection didn't happen. So we are still in the Easter season. We are still celebrating resurrection. And though this is the end of the school year and the last Friday Fuel, there's still plenty of reason to celebrate. And so thanks for watching through this year. We will probably be back when the fall semester starts, maybe doing something a little bit different. Maybe finally getting students on here too. And we'll just have to see when it happens. So have a great summer. And for those who are about to take finals, the best of luck or best wishes. I don't know if luck is what you need on finals week, but prayers for your focus and your perseverance and clear thinking in whatever you're working on through the end of the semester. And we'll see you again in August. Bye!